Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Morgan Motor Company. Earlier this week you will have heard news of Jaguar Land Rover's investment in the Wolverhampton area. Now I'm delighted to announce that Morgan will be bringing a new plant to the Malvern area. And here it is. It's a rhododendron.
Mixers, gluten-free.
Welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed as Zog and Richard having a conversation about iPhone application. No change there. Hello, I'm Gareth, and hopefully at some point before I finish this sentence, I've started, mate. Yeah. Well, why not? Let's be real. So come on, put your power button down, my friend, and come and join us on there. How nice it is to have Richard Porter with the headphones on.
Hello.
Zog with his headphones on.
Hello.
You know, I'm Gareth.
What was that beeping?
That was the geeking out.
Oh, it was like a smoke alarm. It tells you if you're getting too geeky.
Yeah.
You should probably turn it off when we're doing this. Yeah. For obvious reasons.
It's been so long, I don't know how many weeks, since we convened to record a programme about cars, and we've forgotten how to do it. I think we don't start until we're all at the microphone, traditionally. Yeah, but not this time. Formula One, guys. I was in California for... not the last race, which was Monza, but the one previously, and I picked up a term which I'd never heard before, which I'm going to apply liberally to Formula One. I can't remember the name of the guy. Is it David Hobbs, who's the commentator on Speed in the States? And he said that Eau Rouge Spa required testicular fortitude. That's testicular fortitude.
Oh, that's very good.
That's wonderful, isn't it? So we saw some testicular fortitude from Schumacher and Lewis at Monza. Did you enjoy that? I did.
Was that too much testicular fortitude from Schumi, maybe? There's a fine line between good, hard racing, which we all love, and...
bullying.
Well, no, he wasn't bullying, but he was...
being Schumacher is what he was doing.
He was being an awkward git, wasn't
Yeah.
he? He was being unnecessarily
putting
bloody-minded, awkward, and really costing them both a lot more time than you might sensibly have done. But then we don't want racing drivers to be sensible, we want them to race, don't we?
Really brilliant to watch on telly. It was. And that, for better or worse, well, for better, really, is what we want from Formula One. That's why we watch it.
Well, I think it's entertainment. That's,
Monza was the most exciting Formula One race I've seen this season, I think. I was absolutely buzzing. Oh, it was
it's very good.
It was...
Well, actually, we've been sport for choice this season.
Yeah, true. But
in many ways.
Yeah, one or two quiet moments.
Monza's dreary. Monza's probably the first F1 race that I ever missed and wasn't that bothered about. Some 11 years ago when my oldest son was born, Monza was won by, I think, Barrichello, and I missed that.
He won the whole track?
He won the whole track. They let him take it home with him, yeah. I missed it, and I thought, new son, first son born, that's kind of important. But from then on, I thought, I don't need to watch Monza. It's over in an hour and a quarter. Not much happens.
Well, that's quite good because it's the Formula One race for people who are in a hurry. For example, when that race went out this year, I had foolishly arranged to go for Sunday lunch with some friends and then remembered that the race was on, and I said, could we meet at 2:30, and knowing that the race would probably be over by then. Problem solved. So, if you have got stuff on, Monza's great. So I hope that Barrichello lets Formula One keep using his track into the future, because it enables you to sort of claw back some Sunday social time if you need to.
So, Sebastian Vettel's won the World Championship. Sorry, did I mention I'm from the future?
Yes.
I'm from 5 days in the future.
This proves you're from the future, I guess.
I don't think it really does, actually. I mean, you might as well go, did I tell you the sun came up tomorrow? I think we can assume it's sort of going to. And by the same token, that Sebastian Vettel doesn't need to draw on many reserves of testicular fortitude. Testicular, is that what it is?
It's testicular fortitude.
As in intestinal fortitude.
Intestinal fortitude.
That's a different thing.
It is.
To be fair to Vettel, he drove a beautiful Monza again, but he did that in a flaming, I keep saying Minardi, a Toro Rosso. Remember, his first win came at Monza in a Toro Rosso. If you can win in a Toro Rosso, you've got to be a good driver. No wonder he's won. Has he actually won the second one yet? In my head, he has 2 World Championships back to back.
Red Bull or Vettel would have to screw up monumentally in order not to win. Now, it's quite possible to screw up monumentally. It's just not very likely at all.
It would have to be
a screw-up
of
it would have to be colossal.
Such gigantic proportions.
What, for instance, forgetting to turn up for the
That
next
would be
8
the one,
races?
just knocking off early.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't
or
realise
becoming
it was a
trapped in a room.
Yeah, well,
I think they'd go looking for him.
the
that's
race was on Sunday. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
I thought it was Monday, this one.
No, because I've arranged to go for Sunday lunch with, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
can't make it. I'm
Someone really unimportant.
well, I went to see my friends Mark
Pub
and
quiz
Zoe,
down
so
the
maybe,
road.
maybe I've seen them now for this month, but maybe Vettel hasn't. He could go and meet them for Sunday lunch.
Yeah.
Does he know them?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Ask Mark.
I mean,
Zoe,
there's
don't they?
every possibility that he does. I mean, they live in St Albans, so. Oh no, wait, no, that's
It's
not
not
right.
that far from Milton Keynes.
That's
He's
true.
often over here. I think
it?
that's
Does
it.
he? Has he?
Yeah, I think as I'm from the future,
Yes.
he's not going to turn up after Singapore. He's going for dinner with Zoe and Mark.
Yeah.
Well, halfway between St Albans and Milton Keynes. Oh, enough about you, Mark. How are you, Zoe?
Excuse me, folks. I'll be your waiter today. Have yourselves ever been to a harvester before?
Oh, yeah, I've been to a harvester many times, for sure.
Actually, I'm sorry. Aren't you Sebastian Vettel?
Yeah, for sure, Sebastian, I am.
But isn't there a Grand Prix on this afternoon? And aren't you supposed to be, driving in it and that?
Oh, for sure, but I'd also arranged to meet my friends here for lunch, so I decided to take the afternoon off.
Sorry, mate. Isn't that a bit weird?
Yeah, but wait, aren't you Justin Wilson?
Aye, unfortunately.
Yes, Vettel! With Gareth Jones on speed!
There was some massive motor show action in Germany last week, and by massive, I mean massive. The Frankfurt show is how big, Richard? Because you were there. Seriously, do you know how big it is?
Oh, it's impossible to quantify. It's one of those one area the size of Wales.
Yeah,
15,000 football pitches.
Yeah.
Nelson's Column double like a bus.
Blue Whale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Labrador's Head.
Labrador's Head.
Yeah.
Yes. Literally visible from space. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. It is huge. It's so huge that I know somebody there, another journalist, had a little pedometer thing on his iPod Nano, and he set it running for the, I think, day and a half that he was at the show, and he racked up a total of just under 15 kilometres.
Bloody
That's
hell.
pretty good. That is
Because
pretty good.
the thing is, particularly if you, as a lot of journalists do there, they book interviews with people who run car companies to make magazine features and so on. And if you've done that, you have to be very careful to time them in the right sequence. It's the equivalent of interviewing somebody in Birmingham and then being told that very quickly, like within the next 5 minutes, you must run to London or you'll miss your slot.
I could see how that would be a problem. Are they actually in different time zones, the different
They are,
halls?
yes. Sometimes within a stand,
Yeah.
you'll find a different dialect being spoken by the staff who work on it from one end to the other. The Mercedes stand, and I'll give you an example of how this show is not just massive, but how much bigger it has become over the years, that there's one hall, it's a huge hall in an exhibition centre type thing, and the whole motor show used to be contained in that one hall.
Is it that Messe building? Because it's called the Frankfurt
don't
Messe.
know.
There's some big sort of almost steel cutout silhouette just almost outside of a bloke. Is that ringing a bell? Is that building?
No, but
Maybe
that
not.
doesn't mean...
You've been sniffing glue again, Zoe?
It's
No,
so
no,
big.
the Frankfurt Music Messe.
But that's essentially...
The Frankfurt Music Messe.
It's like asking me about something outside a village in Scotland that I may never have been to, but it doesn't mean I haven't ever been in Britain, because
Hey.
it's that kind of scale where you're just thinking, well, there are bits and there are details that
It's
you must
just
always
so
miss.
damn
I
big.
genuinely
Yeah.
got lost twice trying to find things.
There is
Could
one
be the same.
motor show that's got to be bigger than Frankfurt, though, isn't there? Seriously. Go on, guys, think about it. Covers more
big-
area. It's British. It's new. The Moving Motor Show at Goodwood, as they call it now.
Oh,
That's got to
that.
be bigger, technically. But
Do you know what? I don't think it is.
Really?
I've been to
Really?
both, and I swear to you, Frankfurt is bigger. But it's as if, imagine the entire estate of Goodwood, all of Lord March's land being covered in exhibition halls and other show-related marquees and displays.
They had a
and
track
thing
inside,
with lorries.
didn't
Well, here's the thing. So the Mercedes stand now occupies what used to be the hall where the entire motor show was. It's like 4 or 5 stories high. They have escalators to take you to the top, and this huge amphitheatre in the middle where the press conference is done. It's vast. You could spend all day on there just looking at the different cars they have. And then Audi, I think this is the thing that you were referring to, that Audi have built their own hall. They have outgrown any hall, so they built a whole building outside.
This was the space station you were tweeting
Basically
about,
looks like a space station, and there are different rumours about how much it had cost them. Some people said €5 million, some said 12. There were even more inflated figures. It is a proper building, and the most remarkable thing is that it has a track, a single car width track that runs within its walls.
That's madness.
And goes up and down. And I got to ride in the passenger seat of a car, and we were driven round there. And yeah, it's only short, but it has an inner circuit and an outer circuit, and it's quite roller coastery because it has to go up to clear, the tunnels that allow people in, and then down and sort of swoops underneath stands, and then you get on the inner circuit, and you can actually drive out onto a stage in a kind of conference hall area. And then you go back into the bowels of the building, and suddenly you pop out sort of right in the basement bit.
Kind of like a ghost train ride.
It's a bit like that. It's extraordinary, but it's a motor show stand with a bloody track in it. It's extraordinary. And part of the reason for this, of course, the German manufacturers are constantly trying to outdo each other. So you can sense that Audi went, if we put a track in there, that is some things that Mercedes will not have.
The German manufacturers, or as I prefer to call them, the motor industry.
Yeah,
come on, really.
Certainly the German motor industry.
A big chunk of the European motor industry.
Yeah. I mean, as VW Group, aside from Audi had built themselves a whole building, and then VW Group, all the rest of them, they occupied one big hall as well. I mean, if you ever went, when it still existed, to the motor show at the NEC, I'd say the hall that the VW Group occupies is about the size of the biggest hall at the NEC, which is a big old hall. I mean, the Mercedes place, that hall is just of an incomprehensible size because it has floors, effectively. It's just a whole world of Mercedes.
I guess there was no Saab there this year.
No, sadly not.
Are Saab going to be at any motor show ever again? Are they going to survive this shortage of cash situation that they're in at the moment? I don't know if they are.
It has a horrible overtone of MG Rover because, Chinese companies saying, oh, yeah, we'll help you out, we'll give you some money, we'll buy into you. It's been delayed. Sorry, it's been delayed. Oh, it's been delayed again. Oh, dear, you've gone bust. Well, we'll buy all the bits that are left over. Thanks very much.
There doesn't really seem to be that much left of Saab. It seems to me it's a much less valuable brand than it used to be. I mean, it still has some value, but it's not as if they were the technically smart, engineering-oriented, distinctive company that they used to be.
About the way that Saab...
They became an offshoot of a...
Yeah, they used to have this very proud engineering heritage, and the stuff they did with turbos is obviously quite noteworthy, but also... on a less sexy note, they were also in the vanguard of things like direct ignition, getting with distributors and engine management. They were
squirting water into your cylinders and all that stuff. Yeah,
squirting water into the cylinders.
Oh, they had, what was it called? They were squirting water.
Why?
To improve. I don't know why.
I think this is ringing some kind of bell.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was into the cylinders.
It was a Saab thing.
Unbelievably. Yeah,
I think some aircraft used to do this as well. There was some.
Well, that's why they did it. You see.
Yeah, but it was
just make the cylinders all wet.
You'd think it would be a bad idea, but it was to control the combustion in some way. I can't remember the details. I'll look into it.
Yeah,
not squirting water on the underside.
That is ringing some kind of vague bell. Yeah, to do with sort of. In some way improving the efficiency of the
what was it called?
ignition.
I
think it was only like a tiny...
Fishmatic.
Squirt.
Aqua system.
This may just be a kind of mass delusion, though, that Gareth and I have at the moment. And,
that often happens.
He's just, we're just...
Well, I was going to say,
it's actually true. I don't know.
If these idiots were squirting water into their engines, they deserve to go out of business. What a bunch of buffoons. My car won't start again, Sven. No, the engine is full of water.
If only someone would invent some kind of, worldwide network of computers, you could just search on the spur of the moment to see if a fact like that is true or not.
This is the rantings of a madman.
There
is no such thing as that.
No hope.
You'd be talking about 3 idiots being able to drivel nonsense through your ears on a set of headphones from some description.
Madness.
And that's not possible.
Broadcasting to the world from a living room, that'll never happen.
Dream on.
No.
Oh dear, Sven, I fear this is the end for Saab. These accounts do not look good, and I cannot think of a solution.
Well, Lars, have you tried injecting them with water? Here, let me show you. There, has that made them better?
No, but now they are all wet.
I could have sworn that would work.
Do you have any favourite cars at Frankfurt, Zor?
The Jaguar was certainly the standout car for me, the new E-Type, which I'd like to hear your thoughts on, Richard.
You mean the TVR Cigaris, what was it called?
It's got a whiff of the T350 about it. But,
it's that rear end treatment, which itself is a homage to the E-Type, perhaps, that sort of kick up at the rear, I think.
I mean, other than that, obviously the new the Ford Evos, as it was, looks a little bit too much like a Prius at the moment, I think. There's something about the rear end of it. It's something about the height and the verticalness of the rear of it that makes it look a bit too Prius-y.
This is Ford doing what Ford do. You notice what Ford are doing at the moment? I've mentioned this before on the programme. Since Ford have sold off, their Crown Jewels, their Aston Martins, their Jaguars, their Range Rovers, they're dabbling in those areas because they couldn't previously. And you look at what's it called, the Vizos?
Evos,
yeah. The Vizos was the previous one that became
produced by James Brown Publishing and featuring Buster Gonad and his unfeasibly large Tesla.
Sorry, Vizos, yes. Yep. That's an operating system created by a northeastern magazine, isn't it? Vizos, The John Evos looks like an Aston Martin because they could do that because they don't own Aston Martin anymore. Have you seen the Ford, what's it called, not the Fairlane, is it the Flex in America? It looks a bit like a Range Rover because they don't own Range Rover anymore. Well,
they did that before they sold Land Rover. But the new grille that they're saying will be their new grille, and which is already going to be on the Focus ST. They've shown a concept of that. Then at Frankfurt they showed the Fiesta ST concept, which could well happen, and it's just an Aston Martin grille. It's interesting though that Jaguar concept has some very Aston Martin detailing on the door handles. Which,
is it a Callum car?
It is. It's Ian Callum, the boss of Jaguar Design, who did the Aston DB7 and the Vanquish and did most of the DB9. That was essentially his work, and they just sort of finished it off. He also did the V8 Vantage, but at that point it was supposed to be a mid-engine car, and then when he left, or whether he went to Jaguar, he was at TWR at their old studio in Oxfordshire, and he did all those Astons, and then after he'd gone they changed their minds and made it front engine. But fundamentally the look of Aston Martins to this day was laid out by Ian Callum. And it's almost now that Aston and Jag aren't both owned by Ford, and he's not being sort of reined in. He's allowed to have his ideas back, and so he's using them. They were his in the first place.
It's an Ian Callum car.
It's an Ian Callum car, and the little Jag is a fabulous looking thing. It actually looks better in real life when you can get to see some of the subtle sort of sculpting on it. There's some nice detailing on the way that the metalwork sort of swoops around, and some very subtle feature lines on it. And apparently it looks even better in daylight, because then you really get to see, like under the window line, there's this sort of very delicate kind of ridge in the metalwork which just falls away, and it catches the light really nicely, and all that. It looks terrific, but
it's a V6.
It's a V6. Jaguar are working on a brand new V6 petrol engine, 3 litre.
Which is going to be built in Wolverhampton, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure it is, actually, because that new announcement this week about the Wolverhampton engine plant, they're saying that's 4-cylinder engines. They're also working on a new family of 4-cylinder petrol and diesel engines. I'm not sure where they're getting all their money from. Or Tata, but I mean, Tata haven't got bottomless pockets, and it's interesting. But it's nice that they are doing it.
It's said that the Ford engines that Tata, Jaguar Land Rover have to buy at the moment are expensive. So maybe they've offset their R&D cost against the overinflated price, because it's part of the buyout deal from Jaguar Land Rover that they've got to take this engine supply, so Ford can dictate the price. Good news for Wolverhampton. Bad news for South Wales, where these.
Well, that's the thing. There's this sort of irony that although it is being touted, this announcement, as great news for UK jobs, the truth is that the more engines that Jaguar Land Rover build themselves, the fewer they're buying from Ford, where mostly they're made in either Dagenham or in Bridgend. So it's a bit give and take, but it's good that they're doing their own engine range. It's the same reason there's that big BMW engine plant at Hams Hall in the Midlands, because that was really built to supply engines to Rover when BMW owned Rover, because they were being striped for a fortune, still buying in certain engines from Honda, and they were trying to make sure they absolutely wound that back.
Same situation, identically,
all homegrown, and obviously for the same reason they rushed out to the first car they did under BMW was the Rover 75, so they stopped paying Honda a massive royalty for the Honda designs that they were doing there. Anyway, we digress.
No, we don't.
Very briefly, but that new Jag, I think, would probably be my star of the show, because I think it looks like a production car. It is a production car. They're having to pretend that it's a production concept, but it's pretty much fact that we will see next year, probably, a production version of it, starting with a Roadster, I think, and then the coupe afterwards.
Really?
They're going to do the Roadster first, as far as I can work out. And they will then then follow it with a coupe. The concept had a 3-litre V6 with a hybrid drivetrain in it. I think the real car will come first with just a 3-litre V6, this new engine family, and they'll work on these other tech versions. It's sort of feasible stuff. It's not completely pie in the sky, and it will come. But at the moment, I mean, there's the thing that some of the car mags have already got spy pictures of cobbled together XKs with the running gear of the real thing on test. So it's out there. The prototypes are running. It is coming sooner rather than later. The concept, I discovered from somebody deep within Jaguar, though, is not the production car underneath. They got an old XK out of a scrapyard at Gaydon and just put it on the suspension of that, just because they make it roll back and forth, and that's all it needed. The body, pretty much production ready. It looks fantastic. That's great. Yeah. My other stars of Frankfurt, though, the Volkswagen Up. Have you seen that little?
Why are you so
car?
excited by that? What's so special about it?
I just
I've
like
been
little
struggling
cars.
with it personally. We all like little cars.
I like little cars. Now, I got in it and I thought, well, this just feels like a small Volkswagen, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's almost like, and as you know, I've got a Fiat 500 now, and it feels to me like a Fiat 500 with sort of 30% less happiness about it. The Fiat 500's a happy little car. Hey, molto bene, and it zings along and it's fine. But you get into the Up and you think, well, they've paid attention to the 500. It has a metal dashboard in the colour of the exterior bodywork. You get it with a glass roof like the 500. It's got some quite nice detailing. It feels like quite a quality object in the way the 500 does, as long as you don't look too far down to where the carpets are like sort of scratchy synthetic pubes, and the lower dashboard moulding's not great, but the bits you touch and the bits you see most of the time are great. The VW, you feel like the quality goes a bit deeper, and in the boot, you open the boot and the floor is sort of pretty much level with the sill, and you think, that's not very good, and then you realise there's a false floor.
This is
you
very
lift
popular,
it up and there's a huge well underneath, which I suspect for future hybrid and electric versions they'll be able to put the batteries there. But for the time being, little 1-litre 3-cylinder petrol that they're going to start selling first, you open it up and the actual weight of this false floor, it's like lifting a stud wall. It feels architectural. Yeah, it makes you feel immediately it's a quality car.
You need to remove some weight from the back of it. If they're going to put a heavy battery pack in there, you almost need to surely have some weight that you can lose from the back in order to not.
That's interesting.
Upset your weight.
I hadn't even considered that. Maybe it's not just quality; it's also doing things for the weight distribution.
Maybe. They're almost putting weight in there in order they can take it away again.
I enjoyed your comedy tweeting, particularly of the Up at Frankfurt show, because they made some real faux pas. There was the E-Up.
Aye, happen.
Aye, which will do well in Yorkshire and Lancashire. Happen. Aye, and the Black Up, which isn't going to do that well. Really.
God, why didn't nobody tell them? Because this is the one thing I'm interested in this because I think
really,
it's a little.
It was a Black Up. Called the Black.
They're
Up.
launching it now. They've got this annoying. They're just mucking about with syntax and grammar. The car in their world is officially called the Up, all lowercase with an exclamation mark at the end. Up.
Oh. No, that's terrible. Okay.
I know it's annoying for a start.
Okay. Yeah, for a start, there are going to be times when you want to put the uppercase on the start of it.
Yeah.
Secondly, what happens when it's at the end of a sentence? Do you put the exclamation mark and then a full stop?
Oh,
do you?
You're not allowed to do that.
No, I don't.
It's infuriating.
Geneva Convention prevents you from doing that.
Well, I think it's a grey area, and this is why.
But car makers, they monkey
crazy
with this all the time. The Mini, the new Mini, officially, they tried to insist that it was always written in uppercase, entirely in uppercase, to distinguish it from the old Mini. Which is okay. At least you could sort of get away with that. I mean, in the modern age, uppercase is often considered on the internet as shouting. So what you're driving? Well, I've got a Mini. And
that's right, a Mini. Yeah.
Oh, really? What did you have before that? Well, I sold it because I used to have an Up, and it's crazy.
Will there be a version of the Up specifically for the male owner, the cock up? Will that happen? No.
Very, very quickly, I was going to say that they're launching it with two sort of limited editions, and one is all white and one is all black. So they're called the White Up and the Black Up, and of course, Black Up just looks awful written down, particularly it's like some 70s comedy show. However, a range of Up concepts to show how they can then expand this range. And there was a 5-door with like Rover Streetwise / Polo cross, whatever it's called, cross Polo wheel arch extensions. Yeah. But then there's a little one called the GT Up, which was a sports concept, but with fantastic wheels like on a Golf GTI on it, and twin tailpipes, and a 100 horsepower version of the 3-cylinder petrol engine that's in the regular Up that you'll soon be able to buy. And it just looked terrific. And I thought, well, I've heard that the regular Up is not that amazing to drive. It just drives like a small Polo, and I'm sure that's what a lot of buyers want. But we like driving, we'd like something a bit more exciting. Yeah. Remember the old Lupo GTI? Lovely little car.
Great value.
Yeah, great value, and it had a 6-speed gearbox on it, if you remember that. It was a bit of a novelty at the time. Yeah. I looked in the GT Up, and it had a 6-speed manual gearbox. No DSG, no paddles or anything like that. Just a proper old-fashioned gearbox, and I thought that has promise, and I sincerely hope they make it.
Well, the version that I might take would be the poker-oriented version, the shuffle up and deal.
They should do a version for young kids as well, shouldn't they, who play a lot of video games, the level up.
The eat up your greens.
That would do it, yeah. My favourite car at Frankfurt, I think, I'm surprised I'm saying this, the Kia GT, I think it was called. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Because that's more than just a concept. It's a marker of where Kia are at these days. Have you seen the Kia Rio? Have you seen... How gorgeous is that for a little...
I wouldn't say gorgeous, but it's a nice-looking little car.
I think it's gorgeous. I think it looks like a great Ford. I think Kias look like Fords, which always gets my attention at the moment, because I like Fords. Oh, I think it's a better Fiesta.
You're a much bigger Ford fan than I am, though, for example.
Yeah,
I agree that a lot of Ford's recent design has been finally done lovely work on the more recent models, but, 10 years ago, I can't say I was at all a fan.
In California recently, spent a fortnight over there. Kias are doing great business in California. You've driven Hyundai, was it, the Genesis in California? Yeah. Korean cars have a take-up in California because of the huge Korean population. You'll always buy cars of your own nation, you'll support it. That's a sort of a way in. It's giving them credence in that respect. Have you seen the Sonata in America?
The Optima is the big saloon out there.
Yeah.
Which I've driven very briefly, and it looks nice on the outside. The dashboard pretty much like an Audi A6, and it drives sort of like a slightly nicer Audi.
But the Sonata looks like the Passat CC, is that what it's called? Or the CLS
CC,
sort of coupe saloon. Really eye-catching.
Well, that's coming to Europe. Yeah. They were showing it off at the Frankfurt show. They're calling it the i40, and the saloon is very, very handsome. The estate looks nice as well. It'd be right up your Strasse, because it's, estatey and...
Actually, I speak with a forked tongue, don't I? I'm talking rubbish before we finish this programme. My favourite car was not the Kia GT, this sort of 5 Series sort of thing that they're making at all. I just forgotten. It was the Fisker Surf.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm just going to finish this programme here and go off and find some pictures of that lovely shooting brake. I know it's got 4 doors, but me and shooting brakes. You've been listening to Richard Porter.
Goodbye.
Sorg.
Goodbye.
And I'm Gareth Jones, and I love shooting brakes. See ya.
Oh, please, that's disgusting.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site or follow us on Twitter, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!